Welcome, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Spincast here at Stay Plugged In. Joining us today, I'm excited really to have a couple of participants, one being Scott Corbett and his son Connor Corbett. Connor is actually participating currently in our Fall Nationals. So for me, as one of the founders of Stay Plugged In, I'm very interested in hearing, A, how it's going, how are we doing, what could we be doing better, and obviously the dynamics that may create for you guys back at home and kind of what you want to get out of it. So without further ado, first off, I want to thank you both for taking a little bit of time to join us here. So thank you for coming on board and talking a little bit more about esports in general. So how are you both doing today?
Awesome, real good.
I'm feeling good. Just happy.
Good deal. Connor, what grade are you in now?
I'm a junior in high school, so 11th grade.
11th grade. So any schools at this point that you've identified that you may be leaning towards looking at more or less, or not quite yet?
Yeah, basically just trying to stay in Vermont if I can, and if not, just kind of wherever life takes me, I guess.
Okay. Other than esports, what are some of the things that you're passionate about or that gather your interest?
Up on the top of the list, definitely sailing and skiing.
Okay.
I've done competitive sailing through my earlier years of high school, placing third on the East Coast with some of my friends, and
Awesome.
I'd love to free ski with this old man.
Understood. So we've got to find you a school either in Vermont or Colorado or somewhere near the beach, basically, is what you're telling me.
I think he definitely needs mountains so Dad can visit. You go to the beach in the summer. School's out in the summer.
Got it. So Scott, tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are, just as a parent, once you saw Connor getting a little bit more involved with esports in general. Sounds like he has a sailing background. Was that a transition going from sailing to esports, or was he trying to manage both at the same time? Tell me how it all came about and what your thoughts were from the outside looking in.
Sure. I think like most parents, especially being an educator, I thought my son probably played too many video games, especially growing up playing myself, who, maybe I played an hour and a half a day kind of on average, and maybe in extreme cases like 2.5 hours Call of Duty or something like that. But competitively, I'd like to transition because I like my son to be competitive and try to be the best at whatever he's doing. So I feel like if he's going to spend time playing video games, that he should try to be the best at that. Also, the COVID-19 kind of, I think, assisted in that transition. He's always been able to do a nice job of balancing his free time with athletics as well as, I would say, electronics and his schoolwork. So he's always been able to balance on that as a student. But I do think the transition was from COVID-19 bringing him, it was kind of like a secluded time where kids didn't have something to do. So I think it also gave him an opportunity to maybe invest a little bit more time in it. And I think I saw a lot of growth in his potential, which I was impressed with.
Good deal. Yeah, no doubt COVID-19 put a damper on a lot of folks in terms of what they were limited in capabilities of doing. So gaming is a social outlet at the end of the day, right? We're stuck with our own devices, and that's one way you certainly can communicate with friends and everything else, which I've heard from our staff that you've been doing a fantastic job from a leadership perspective in helping with your team on the Rocket League series and everything else. So they speak very fondly of you. So we need a lot more caps, if you will, joining our Fall Nationals and other endeavors that we'll pursue later on. Tell me a little bit about what led you to play Rocket League. What interested you in that?
I actually have a story that goes along with how I started Rocket League. I had a friend as I was coming into middle school, into a new school for me, and it was a friend that was definitely less fortunate than me, and he actually wound up buying me the game in math class. We became friends over Rocket League. I had an interest in it. I'd been watching YouTube. Actually, if you know who Mr. Wolfels is and John Sandman, they had started making videos onto the game. I came from Minecraft and saw those videos and loved the game. The friend bought it for me, and we climbed the ranks together, and until unfortunately he kind of fell out of the game. Things took a little turn worse, but I kept on the legacy and got way past where he was. So
awesome. Now, do you play any other games other than Rocket League that draw your interest?
Other than Rocket League right now, I still play a little Minecraft, a little Among Us, and that's probably about it.
Our entire staff finds themselves playing Among Us.
Time out. Once in a while, he whips out the PS3 controller and we do a little Call of Duty action or Tony Hawk. Don't act like we don't play still once in a while.
I like it. I won't ask who the better player is. I'll leave that one alone out there. No, don't worry. For those of you who are listening and not viewing, I'm pretty sure the younger one pointed at himself. So anyway, I'm a Call of Duty guy as well. So off camera, we're gonna have to talk a little bit. Maybe we could get a little Warzone going. But anyhow, tell me a little bit about the transition and the competitiveness from sailing versus competing at Rocket League. What differences do you feel just at a competitive level? Obviously, they're two completely different animals, but
Yeah, I think sailing competitively is a lot more physical. Obviously, it's a physical sport, but I feel like at some parts it's more social, but also less social. I mean, we're sitting this close, me and my partner who I sailed with on a boat together, but the whole time we're not really talking. It's just basic communication, just like you would in a regular game of ranked 3v3. So I think a lot of that transitions over based on communication with others, but actual parts of the sport, I don't feel like much actually transitions, if I'm being honest.
yeah,
It's widely different.
got it.
You don't think
Yeah.
focus, or I would think certain things like you were very focused sailing, and when you play video games, you see that same level of focus. I would see a comparison there.
Yeah, I think that goes with any sport though.
Yeah, I think a common misconception a number of parents have is that esports is just video games, that anybody can play it, right? Where the reality is for top level type players, just like in any sport, whether it's sailing, basketball, baseball, esports, you got to have a little bit of God-given talent at the end of the day, quite frankly, and you got to work at it. You got to work at your craft. So an interesting point you brought up earlier, Scott, is from a video game perspective, playing games, whether it was an hour, hour and a half, et cetera, that you seemingly as a household had a pretty good foundation of what those rules or guidelines should look like so that you can balance both. Because we run into, quite frankly, a number of kids. I mentioned it off camera before. I have a son at home that, because he would game so often, we'd have to have conversations about, hey, let's juggle that properly. What led to that? Meaning, obviously you still want to play, you want to be good at it, you want to be a top tier type player, but it sounds like you're able to balance that pretty well. Was that more conversations that each of you had? Or is that something that Connor, you started out that way and it just worked out to be that way?
I think a lot of it came from getting yelled at by my parents, if I'm going to be honest. I play a lot. I'm guilty of it. I probably have nearly 4,000 hours. I'm just logged into Rocket League about now. But
Yep.
Balancing it really came with just him with an education background, placing a higher priority on education, and me being also focused on sports at the time really helped to manage it, because it was always last priority to play a game than to practice anything else or study for classes.
Yeah, understood. And again, that transcends with every sport, in my opinion. Academics should come first. Student athlete, right? Yeah. Student comes first for a reason. You take care of that, and I'll get all the priorities off of that list, and then you could jump into the fun part, because every other sport is fun, right? You have an advantage where you're good at something. Take advantage of it by, again, creating that proper foundation that allows you the ability to then go and do what you want to do as much as you can do anyway. So
I also think as a player, he progressed and got better. So even though I may have talked about balance, I also said to him that I expect him to practice and to be able to do certain things game. Like if you want to take this serious, that you need to put time and take it serious, just like it was soccer or baseball or football or any other sport. So yeah, academics is always going to come first in this house.
Yeah.
But it's even more than just academics. It's social, emotional health, and being able to have a good balance in life. And it's just something I always wanted to instill in my child. So.
Yeah,
and I think he has that with time management and even at a young age. So I'm impressed with his ability.
Excellent. Yeah, it seems very, very well rounded. And again, you can substitute sports with any type of extracurricular activity, whether it's music, debating, et cetera. If you want to be good at something, you've got to invest time into it, right? Especially if you're passionate about it. But it shouldn't overwhelm you. It shouldn't be what the one thing is that motivates you to get up in the day. So, Scott, tell me a little bit about at what point did you start to have an understanding, or do you have a pretty good understanding already of what this could lead to in respect to being able to play Rocket League at a pretty good level?
So I pride myself on always trying to make wise decisions or thinking about things I say ahead of time. And the one thing I would say in my career where you can really call me out on, and if any kid is listening or watching, I was wrong. And I do admit when I'm wrong. And I used to say, like, you'll never make money playing video games. Like, it'll never happen, kid. And I said, oh yeah, I know there's a few people that work for EA Sports that test video. I get it, but like, it's never going to happen. You have a greater chance of being a football player, you know? Um, so to see that transition when people are making millions of dollars and getting followers for video games, I can admit when I'm wrong, and I support it. You know, if it's what his passion is and where he wants to go, I will support whatever it is. Um, you know, whether that's competitive sailing, competitive video games, or, you know, I always got his back. So
Yeah. And that's an interesting dynamic right there. You just said it. You'll support it. And I think so many kids are out there, not the parents' fault. The parents just don't understand what is available to them through esports, through video games, right? So because of that, lots of times those controllers are taken away and those hours are limited in respect to what you can do in that arena. And if they're really good at it, unfortunately, those parents never take the time to really look at, well, wow, that could actually lead to not just a collegiate scholarship, but potentially a career in something they're passionate about. And when I say career, don't get me wrong, I have kids that play sports. The likelihood of them ever stepping on a professional playing field for any sport is incredibly low. So I have no misconceptions there. And esports, even worse, because there's so many people that do it and there aren't nearly as many teams. But to just have a career in it, in some facet, and know that, hey, I can make money and make a good living because this space and scene is so large. I think that's something that parents hopefully will start to transition to understanding better and better and better.
I think you may even see that happening because as an educator, I try to think about how I can engage kids in a remote setting.
Mm-hmm.
Educators across the country had a difficult time engaging kids when they were 100% remote. You know, games is a great avenue to get kids engaged. We had football in school to try to keep some of those troubled kids in school, and a lot of those sports really serve that purpose to get that thinking through high school. You know, in the future, EA, you know, our electronic sports may be doing that in high schools. Right. So see, like as times change, we as, you know, educators need to look at that too, and how can you utilize games maybe to connect kids and connect them to learning. So I think we're going to see a rapid change in acceptance.
No, I would agree. That's such a critical component, engagement, to have the students want to get up in the morning to go to school and have something that they can participate in. And we see that across the board. Esports in general, Connor, if you had a choice, obviously to be able to play beyond college, that's what most people would aspire for. But once you get into college and beyond, from a workforce perspective, have you ever considered staying in the esports space? Is that something that interests you? And if so, are there certain topics? I know in your resume, you had listed engineering, for example, as something that you're interested in. Are there certain aspects of esports that interest you?
So in terms of esports, what I've always considered is trying to go into video editing for games or maybe doing graphic design, all that stuff. I've been working on that, self-improvement on all those things in the past 3 or 4 years. I've been trying on my own. I mean, if I could play, that obviously be the number one choice. I mean, who wouldn't want to play professionally on a team? But
that's the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think production of esports management, stuff like that, I'd find really interesting.
Got it. Do you have any professional Rocket League teams that you follow, or not really?
Yeah, my number one picks are NRG and SSG. So
NRG and those aren't too bad ones, I'll tell you that. You know, Charlotte has the Charlotte Phoenix, right? I'm just saying.
Right. I've seen some games.
Got it. Actually, we talk to those folks quite a bit. The players on the Charlotte Phoenix obviously work closely with some of the things we do, and we may have a surprise for you there a little bit down the road in fall nationals, so we'll see. Moving on to the collegiate space in general, as we have seen, it has really exploded quite a bit, and it's started to trickle down more at the high school and middle school level. So Scott, I'm curious in your opinion, at the high school level, you've already spoken to it in respect to esports and engagement for high schoolers, et cetera. How do you see that playing out at the high school level, meaning more esports varsity teams and things like that? Do you think that's something that could be potentially beneficial in the long term?
I think it could. I think that we need to look at how people are evolving and how times are changing. And like I said, it comes down to engagement. And if, as a school, if we're trying to engage children, I think we need to look at all avenues. You know, like whether it's the arts or whether it's sports and academics, like a traditional sport, right? Or if it's an electronic sport, I mean, equal acceptance.
Yeah.
And I think equality across the board is important, not to, you know, classify any type of one person of being a jock or some of the labels they put on kids. I think that it's important, like I said, that all kids have equality, get to have a fun experience and feel connected in school. And I think being part of a team only helps that. And I feel like electronic sports will be that next step in schools, especially with things like COVID, get us, on a level playing field where kids are using, all kids have access to the internet, hopefully, and are starting to communicate that way as well, right? Like getting on video chats, that's new for millions and millions of kids, but now it's something they're used to doing, and they've leveled that playing field with the business world. That's the first time it's ever happened in schools.
Yep. Yeah, I think we'll see a big progression in this direction for years and years to come. But Connor, think about it for a second. Kind of my model, what I think of is, imagine if we could fast forward 5 years and hypothetically you were just starting high school. Obviously you're going to be beyond that, but they had an esports program, but on top of that, it allowed you to understand how to broadcast, how to produce, how to do the video editing, all those things that you've already kind of mentioned, so that as you come through that varsity program, you're actually a well-rounded esports persona, if you will, as opposed to just a player. Because I think those are some of the advantages. If you look at it on football, for example, they've got someone that does the film and the team manager and things like that. With esports, usually it's people within the team ranks that typically do a lot of those things at the collegiate level as well. So interesting to me just how many opportunities it can create besides just the gaming aspect of it. So Connor, what do you think is the most difficult part, if you will, of managing your time and playing Rocket League at a highly competitive level?
I think it's mindset, because you could put 4 hours in one session and learn nothing if you're not focused, if you're not trying your best and staying positive. Or you could take half an hour just to train one thing, stay positive, stay happy, and know that you're progressing, and you'll go way further. So I think it's definitely just how you think about the game, how you think about life is just what makes people good at really anything. You can apply that to either sports, school, or your job. It's just how you think about it.
Understood. Scott, do you see him still struggling from a time management perspective? Is that still something you visit every once in a while, or has he got it down for the most part?
I think all parents need to stay on top of their kids, and I think it's always about reminding him about balance. He wants to play more, and sometimes I go, hey, son, go to bed. But for the most part, I gotta be honest, he's a good kid. He does what he's supposed to, and I mean that like not even a kid. It's more like an adult. He really controls his own life and is very independent, and he's been since he's been a young child. And I've always fostered that.
If he didn't bust my chops once in a while, he'd be a bad parent. So
that's what we're here for as parents, right? That's why you're kids and we're parents. Just
sometimes I'm more joking with him. It's not even serious. I'm just messing around with him, and then I'm like playing.
All right. What's your favorite map in Call of Duty, guys? Come on. That's the main reason we got on this call.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your favorite map on Call of Duty.
What do I always want to play?
Crates.
Yeah, probably Crates. I don't know. I like them all. I don't know if I have a favorite.
You have a favorite game that you play? Domination or Team Deathmatch, etc.? Team Deathmatch. All right.
I stopped playing Call of Duty because all the 12-year-olds were yelling at me online. I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I get yelled at work. I'm not getting yelled at online.
That's the worst part.
And I'd come home from work and they'd all be like prestige level, whatever. And I'm like, getting killed by them all. So I'm like, I'm done with these video games. I gave them up.
That is the worst part by far. Well, guess what? Call of Duty releases a new version, I think, on November 13th. So we will get into a bunch of brand new maps. They actually released the beta version, I think, this past Friday. I only say I think. I know for a fact. We were in our office playing, so never mind. This past Friday, they released that. So we'll see. Looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see it. But you bring up an important topic there that I just wanted to touch on, kind of jokingly at first, but in all seriousness. Esports is another facet in which dad and son or daughter can continue to play for a little bit. There's some sports that, as eventually, Scott, you and I will age out of because of the physical capabilities to a degree. But this is one that, hey, we're at home. We pick up the joystick and play a little bit and have some fun. So that's something I think, again, more and more parents, especially, Connor, as you get older and that generational switch starts to change a little bit, it'll be a little bit different for you in the next few generations to come in terms of how they enjoy their off time together a little bit.
Absolutely.
We'll be raising little ninjas.
You will be raising little ninjas. There you go. So do you do any of that, by the way? Any content creation that you currently work on or do? Or not really?
Yeah, I do. I have a Twitch stream and I make some YouTube videos on the side.
Got it. You like it?
I enjoy it. Streaming is a little more challenging. It's harder to interact with people and stay focused on the game as well. I tend to put my priority more towards being an entertainer when I'm doing that than actually playing my game. So my game suffers a little bit. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's a good thing to keep my mind going when I'm getting bored of the game. So
It's good to be creative too.
yeah.
Yep, keep doing it. That's the one caveat I keep hearing over and over and over again, especially for guys and girls that are going through the ranks, that they wish they did a little bit more content creation as they were progressing. So just words of wisdom from them. Just keep on trucking at it.
I've been making videos for 5 years now. So
Good deal. Good deal. So now that you're part of Fall Nationals, I need you to be brutally honest so I can go back to my staff first thing tomorrow morning and tell me what's working and what could be done better.
I think there's not really much you guys should improve on. Like, I've had pretty good experiences. I've spoken with all the staff. I've played with even Pathfinder, like outside of everything. Like, I just brought him into some ranked on my alt account, and we were having a blast. But I guess work on maybe stop pinging us in general. That gets a little annoying. I know some of the players get annoyed with that, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Got it. I will see. At least there's something we can improve on. There's always room for improvement. We're always trying to make it better. Couple things that we'd like to do as we get a little bit closer. We'd like to start getting some of the schools to actually reach out and support not just what you're doing, but also obviously from a recruiting process or perspective. So love for you to take some time. Obviously, you're just a junior, but this will start to happen on the recruiting side of things pretty quick. At least it does with most sports. So love for you to start thinking about what that school should look like for you. Right? Where in the country, obviously, first and foremost, if you'd rather be close to home or you don't mind being further away, at what level of competitiveness would you like to play? I know, for example, LSU has a phenomenal Rocket League team. They're a little bit far away from Vermont, if you want. It's a whole different environment down in the bayou. But it's a great school, right? For a variety of different reasons. So help us try to help you, ultimately, is what I'm getting at. We'll start to try to narrow down what some of those definitions and choices may look like for you, and then we can start to open those conversations or get you into those conversations and see what that may lead to. That's ultimately what we're here for. Again, that's what I'm passionate about. But I think first and foremost, beyond the gaming, whatever schools you look at and decide on have to be up your alley in terms of what you like academically, because that's always something you'll hang your hat on. And that, to me, is probably the most important thing to look for first. And then from there, we can start to decipher, okay, what schools fit that bill that also offer the games you like to play, offer scholarships and things of that nature. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Good deal. All right. Well, guys, again, I sincerely appreciate you both taking a little bit of time this evening to join us on Stay Plugged In Spincast. Connor, you, just as advertised, my staff spoke incredibly highly of you. And Fanya and Mang, Scott, obviously you guys have done a great job with him. Keep it going. Future looks bright for you in a variety of different ways, in my opinion. But if there's anything we can do to help beyond, please let us know. Keep us posted. If anything we can do to improve, definitely don't feel to reach out, especially to Pathfinder, because he thinks he's really good at every game. I can't. That's a whole nother podcast. My goodness, he's horrible. But anyway, guys,
I did one nice play with him over like a course of 2 hours, so he's got something going.
he's a gamer. He's actually one of the better ones in the office. I just like to give him a little jab here and there when I can. So appreciate you guys. Are you guys baseball fans?
I don't really watch sports. I don't even watch skiing. I love to ski. It's my favorite thing to do.
Skiing. Got it. How often do you guys get out to ski?
I skied 99, 98 days last year.
Wow.
So I'll probably ski at least 100 this year.
He skis a lot.
That's quite a bit. That is quite a bit. That's awesome. All right. Well, stay safe. Hopefully this crazy year will get back to some normalcy in the next few months or so. But stay safe. Appreciate your time. We look forward to continue to watching you play Rocket League. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. So appreciate everything that you're doing over there as in terms of supporting. And we'll touch base again, I'm sure, sooner than later.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yep.
Have
Thanks,
a
you
night.
guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you around.